Between Dr. Thap's green flag energy, the tarot woven into the story, and JimmySea living up their partnership in their acting, my magic prophecy has become something so really special. Hi friends! Today it's gonna be all about JimmySea in their newest show, My Magic Prophecy. I just really wanted to show some appreciation to the show, just talk about some things from the series, behind the scenes and so on. So I'm so excited, yay! So if you don't know what the show is about, it's basically about this one guy called Inu, played by C, and he's a tarot reader, but he also has psychic visions, and they like really take him bodily, like a lot of energy, and sometimes he collapses and things like that. And then there's the other guy, he's played by Jimmy, of course. He's a doctor in critical care, and he's called Thap, and they meet because basically Inu is like the best friend with the daughter, with the sister from Dr. Thap, and so they become like intertwined because basically C's character Inu sees that someone is trying to harm Jimmy's character Dr. Thap, which is very fitting because there's already this little mystery that he has to solve regarding a patient who is also really important to the hospital, and he suspects that her husband is the culprit basically. You know, so mysteries are already going on, and so there's already like suspicions going on. And so then when he says this in front of like the family, basically like, I saw that you're gonna be in danger, and then literally he like saves him, like Inu saves him like at least I think twice in the beginning from something happening from someone trying to like harm him, or like Dr. Thap, and then they have to run away to this little village where Inu's deceased parents had this beautiful mountain and like house cabin, in this really beautiful lovely village and community who really loved Inu's parents and him, and so they like have to live there for a while, and it's like really interesting, and they become really close, and it's just really like a lovely story how it's like develops. And yeah, I just love how it then progresses with also Junior's character coming in and making Dr. Thap kind of jealous, and them being like the very kind of already a domestic couple, the way that they bicker and the way that they've divided the household, the way that they make breakfast for each other and things like that. It's just the most beautiful thing, and I just love that. And yeah. Okay, so I really wanted to highlight Jimmy's character, Dr. Thap, because Thap, I think, is such an interesting character because he is the oldest brother in the family, and so obviously there is like quite some expectations on him, but I think he also just really loves being a doctor, and he's like a really attentive brother and doctor and friend, and so that's why he's just overall like a really green flag character. And then of course when we like the first scenes we have with him is also like really like he's a very attentive, very quick thinking, clever, and you know, very passionate doctor in critical care, which is also very high adrenaline, you know, very stressful, more so than probably some other parts of being a doctor, you know. And so that's why I feel like he just is overall, even though he is always quite a lot of stress, probably like not a lot of like free time, he still is like this very empathetic person. He is a little cocky and a little like very like he's very confident, but it's also really funny because then when he and really meet, we know then also at some point that he really doesn't like tarot readers. He really doesn't like people who have anything to do with this kind of like spirituality thing, because his last boyfriend broke up with him because the tarot reader said that they're not like soulmates or something, or like which I guess is kind of true, but still very interesting life choice of his ex-boyfriend, who then turns out to be played by Book. I love it. Bookie, so cute. Yeah, so I feel like just Dr. Thap is just so, like, not just that, the way that he acts, but also in general, like his characterization. Oh, now it's really, okay. His characterization is like really, yeah, just so interesting, because he then, at first he's like, oh, I don't trust in, but then he needs to trust him with his life. And then, of course, they moved to the mountain retreat basically to save him, like Dr. Thap. Like Thap, he needs to literally like move away because there's like things happening, people trying to kill him. And so while they're there, obviously, he really takes a liking to In and like really helps him also process the grief that he's held on with his deceased parents and the accident, which In couldn't prevent, even though he saw it basically happen before it happened. And so that's it's very beautiful the way that he kind of fixes things around the house, and because of that, like he also kind of starts fixing like In basically. It's like really interesting. And then also the way that he like just does the flower garden for them and like talks to their like memorial grave. It's like so cute. But then of course he also is like really concerned with the health, and he's like, oh, you need to eat more healthy, like not just eat instant noodles and that, and you know. And then you can really see that also in the scenes with Junior, where he's like really like, they're preparing the breakfast and they're talking about that they were the market together and that they got the avocados from that one villager, and it's like the cutest thing ever. And then Junior is just sitting there. I'm like, I am literally the, you know, I'm like third wheeling here. This is like not fun. And then there's this exchange where they're both like trying the avocado on the bread and the jam on the bread, and they both go like, oh, this is so good, do you want to try and stuff, and they give each other pieces of the food. It's so cute. It's so like already domestic, even though by that point they are not together, even though Thap has already said that he's interested in, but In is someone who has been always like really recluse, because he doesn't want to see the end of the relationship. He doesn't want to see the end of that person's life basically coming, and so that's why I think he, especially then after the accident with where his parents died, he really like closed off that avenue basically. Yeah, so I think like that's just, he's just such a great character. He just really gives In like the support and safety that he needs to become his own more independent version of himself, which I love that. But also he just loves and supports him the way he is, which is slightly introverted, and so that's why I love that. Then I also want to talk about In, who's the tarot reader with the psychic visions. And I think Z played his character so well, because he shows that he's like really vulnerable and in need of safety and being loved, especially after his parents died, but also in general of some support to become like this more self-assured version of himself, because he really like gets inundated and like bombarded with these visions, and they like really also take a lot of out of him like physically, like he keeps collapsing and like being like really like kind of like in the moment. It's basically like a seizure or something, and it's like really not that great for him physically and mentally basically. And we also of course learned that his mother had basically the same thing, so it was inherited by his mom like to him, which is also really interesting, because I feel like sometimes shows where the children have some kind of power, it's not like, it's either explained by that they adopted and we don't know where the child comes from, or it's like a, you know, like a Superman origin story where the parents have already died and there's an adoptive family, or it's like the parents don't have any powers, or it comes out that the parents were hiding something. So I love that in this one, like he knew about it from an early age, that his mom has these basically also these psychic visions, that they do take quite a lot of out of her also physically, especially when she is trying to do something against the vision basically. So trying, for example, if the vision says someone's going to get harmed and you prevent it from happening, that also what's happening to him in the series sometimes, is that they're not feeling that well either then. But yeah, I love the way that they incorporated the tarot cards, because I have to say, I've been fascinated with tarot cards for like 7 or 8 years now. I have my own set as well. It's like really cute. It kind of looks a little bit like the one that he has, like not a lot, but it's also like really colorful and like whimsical. And I like really love the colors of like blue and green and purple also in the series. And it's like really beautiful also that he has this little like placemat that he always then spreads out and like things like that. And so I like really love that. And like and the way that they use the interpretation of the meaning of the cards in combination with his psychic visions, but also in combination with like obviously the person across from him, is like really interesting. And I really love that, because if you do not have psychic visions and you just do tarot like that, basically, it's basically about like your own, also there's like certain interpretations every card has, of course, and they all hold their kind of meaning, but it's not like a super strict meaning. You can like interpret it also kind of yourself. They do, like, I personally don't believe that they tell the future, but it can, I think it can really like subconsciously show something. The way that you pick cards and the way that you like what you think, what you associate with the pictures and with the meanings of the card is like definitely very interesting. And so yeah, I love that. And just as a quick add-on, I also wanted to show you some of the cards that are also shown in the show, which I also have, of course, in my tarot set. One of them is, of course, the Lovers. I love this one. It's very beautiful. Like the illustrations on this one are so beautiful. It's called the Modern Witch Tarot. It's like so beautiful. And we've got the Wheel of Fortune, which is the first episode. And then we've got the Tower, which is also in one of the episodes. He draws this card, and he's like, oh, this is like, it means that there's like trouble ahead, I think, or something like that. But yeah, so I'm just like really like, this is like, I think, a really interesting thing, tarot. But yeah, like it's very interesting that this is like a really like big thing, I think, also in Thailand. So I think that's very interesting, and I'm always interested about learning about other countries and other cultures, like spirituality, because I feel like that's so interesting to just like broaden your horizon and learn about other countries, especially watching series from that country. So yeah, even though like this is obviously a JimmySea series, we also have to talk about the antagonists, the protagonists that are, of course, JimmySea, which is one of the antagonists is first character. He is the villain, and he does it so well. Like he and the husband of the wife of the woman who is in the hospital, and who are like very important people also to the hospital. They are like scheming together, right? For like money and power reasons, you know, greedy things basically happening, shady things. And I have to say, like, this is the first time I see like first in like a villain role, because I've only seen him as Jochen, Not Me, and seen him in The Eclipse, Only Friends, and The Heart Killers, you know, like where he isn't really like a villain, maybe an anti-hero, maybe like not 100% morally like good, but it's always like, you know, in a certain way he still is. And this, he's like a proper villain, and he's like very menacing. And in the beginning, you're like, oh, he's not the villain. But then you're like, oh, maybe he is the villain. And that's so interesting and so fun also for him to be able to play a villain, because I know that actors love changing up roles and challenging themselves. And so I think that probably was also really fun for him to play. And his character is also quite complex, but still like has this quite like greedy and like villainous like intentions basically. And then also wanted to talk about what I saw on social media and on AO3 is that there's some people who then were like, oh, what if his like his villainous character meets one of Kao's characters, for example, from Tonhon Chonlati, if he meets Chonlati, or if he meets Kao, who also has a short role, I think, in the Mark Ohm series, the one with the dentist, Sweet Tooth My Dentist or something like that. That's why I think also JimmySea, I think are also in that series. And so that's why I think like that was really fun when people were like saying that. So yeah, that was like really fun, I think. And because he could be also in general be like a really interesting like villainous character. That was so fun to watch as well. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing first in many more different roles, especially as GMMTV 2026 is coming up on the 25th of November. So I'm excited for that. Yeah. Okay, so as I said in the beginning, in the very beginning of the video, Jimmy and C this is now their third series, and they have really improved on their relationship, on their partnership, and also on their acting. Even though they were already good actors, I think they still like improve with every series they make, especially together. And so I just wanted to say that first. And then also second, it's very fun, I think, to also see Jimmy in a role which is quite close to his real life profession, in which he's also a doctor. He's a dermatologist. And so it's like very interesting because he of course had to go to medical school. And so that's why he probably is so self-assured, especially in this role, because it is very close to his real life knowledge and experience. And there's also some really fun behind the scenes where he shows like first and like the directors and stuff, like how do you do this properly? So like how do you take the pulse, like how do you do the reanimation and stuff, like all these scenes are like quite close to real life, which is also fun. And I also showed one of the scenes to my best friend who's a nurse and works at a lung clinic. And so she was like, yeah, this is very true to life basically. And that's really fun, because what annoys her often about like medically based shows is that often it's like they don't take the medicine that serious. It's more about the characters, the romance and the drama, less about the medically accurate things, which I do understand on some level. But I think it's also always nice if they do bring in that accurate like representation basically. And I think like Jimmy really brought that, so that was really fun. And in general, to see him be a doctor was also really fun. And their partnership is like just so beautiful. I love how they both are like flourishing as individuals, but also in their individual lives, but also together as partners in GMMTV in their different shows. And so that's why I'm just like, it's like really fun to see them together. Also I'm so proud of him, because I loved him in this one even more than I did in the last series, which I didn't think was possible, but it is. And yeah, and then of course the last scene where it's like a interview with Thap Inu, and like it's like in character obviously, but then Jimmy was like, yeah, improvise the kissing in the end. So when you see that in is surprised, it was literally C being surprised by the improvised kissing from Jimmy, which is so good but also so funny, and so I love that. Yeah, and JimmySea, I think they are such a comfort couple. Like, they have such a comfort ship for me as well. Like, of course, Santa is my number one. You know that. If you have watched this channel, you will know that. But still, like, they exude such comfort and such confidence. And so, especially, of course, also in their last two series, they were amazing. It was so great. But this one, they just really stepped it up, I think. And it just exuded comfort and everything. So that's why I really enjoy it. I will definitely rewatch several times this series probably. And so I'm really excited also, of course, for the GMMTV 2025 and 2026 this year in November of 2025. Because I think they're gonna get another series, and so I'm excited to see, what they're gonna get. And because like they've gotten so many different topics now, they land now parallel worlds, one of them being a blind athlete, one of them being a like doctor, the other one being a tarot reader with psychic vision. So it's like very different genres, very different like shows. And so I'm very excited, very intrigued, and yeah. Thank you, friends. It was so fun. I hope you also had fun. Tell me all about in the comments. What is your favorite JimmySea series? What did you think about my magic prophecy? And yeah, like I would love to know that. Let's chat about that. And yeah, you know where the subscribe button lives. So if you really like this video, give it a like, share with people. If you want, you can also tag me on social media. And yeah, I'm excited for the next video, and I will see you soon. Bye.